Hello and welcome to another episode of Unapologetically Rich. Today you are going to be in for it. You're going to meet this most incredible young woman who I believe is a definition of unapologetically rich. That what she's created and what she's done in such a short period of time is going to blow your minds. So this is going to be the episode where you're going to be like, yes, me too, and this is what my next is. I want you guys to all welcome Natalie Dawson to the show. Welcome, Natalie.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. It's such a fun conversation to have, and it's such a kind of undercover, under wraps conversation to have, to talk about being rich.
Welcome to Unapologetically Rich, the show for high-achieving women who refuse to settle. I've helped over 51 women become millionaires and multi-millionaires. You're next. I'm here to unlock the next level of wealth, freedom, fulfillment, and feminine power. So hit the follow button, share this with every woman who needs to hear it, and get ready, because every week we're diving deep and rising higher. This is the Unapologetically Rich Show. Are you ready? Let's get to it.
How to be unapologetic with both of those concepts, unapologetic and rich. And
Right.
Oftentimes you're just not talking about either one of those things in public.
It's so taboo.
They're private conversations. They're
and-
secret conversations.
And I want to normalize women becoming wealthy and whatever wealth is. So why don't you start off maybe telling us what's your come up story? Like where because you didn't always start off this wealthy, right?
Definitely not. No, I was lucky to have fantastic parents. I really feel like
That's
I
amazing.
won the family lottery. I had no control over that process, but both my parents were medical doctors. So my dad was a plastic surgeon, my mom was an internist, and money wasn't something that was talked about openly, but we weren't struggling to pay rent. We weren't struggling to have cars and that type of thing. But my parents taught me from a very young age, their money was not my money. And I had to learn that even though they drove nice cars, I was going to get the hand-me-down from my grandma when she passed away. So until I was 21 years old, I drove a Buick Century. It was a 1993 Buick Century. And I was so embarrassed by this car. I would park it down the street when I would go to a movie with friends or when I was pulling up to a friend's house, because I was just very aware that the things that you have around you are the first impression that people have. And if you have a first impression that you don't have a lot of money, or you have a first impression that you're not put together, it doesn't tend to lend itself to people having confidence in you. And so when I dropped out of college to pursue the business that I was working in, one of the very first purchases I made, and I wouldn't recommend this to anybody, but for me it was an important step, was actually buying a car that wasn't the Buick Century, because I figured if I'm pulling up to this office with all of these fancy people with these nice cars, I need to not have a Buick Century. So I bought a $21,000 BMW that my parents had to co-sign for me. They were willing to do that, but I was making the payments, I was paying for the insurance, and that just taught me this lesson of, I want to be not thought of as less than. I want to have enough to be, taken seriously in the room, not embarrassed, but like, what does it really take to create your own? Because you feel good when you have your own. It would have been such a disservice if my parents actually would have said, we're just gonna pay for whatever Jetta, or that was the cool car.
I had one of those.
You had a Jetta?
Yeah, I did.
Did your parents buy it for you?
No, we paid for it. Yeah.
See, I was so I wanted a Jetta, and I was so embarrassed in high school. And so that was one of the first money lessons that just was really, even to this day, stuck to me, that you don't want to get money from other people in a way that makes you have less confidence in yourself. But it is important to present yourself in a way that people will take you seriously without needing the over the top. I didn't buy a $40,000 car, I bought a $20,000 car.
You're 21.
I was 21 years old, and it was the right thing for me to make sense in that environment, so that that wasn't what was keeping people from taking me seriously. But then I could actually expand upon the skills and not do it from a way of flexing, but do it from a way of I'm acknowledged to be okay here. Now I need to work my ass off in order to contribute and to get to the next level, to where I'm not always at this level.
Did you ever have a moment where you were struggling?
When I dropped out of college, my parents cut me off. I had $3,500 in my bank account. So that's
it's a lot of money for a 21-year-old, though. But now, looking back, that was your broke moment.
Yeah, that was my broke moment of but I thought I was rich. To me, having $3,500 in my bank account, I was like, oh my gosh.
No, really.
I have the opportunity of a lifetime to be able to create
And you dropped
what
out
I
of
want.
college. And two parents are doctors. They went to school forever.
Yes.
And you decided that wasn't for you.
Yes, they were paying for my house. They were paying for I got an academic scholarship to college.
And you got a scholarship.
Yeah, but I dropped out because I realized that I wasn't learning what I needed to learn to get to where I wanted to
Okay,
go.
wait, because I think this is important. So what made, did you have an internal like hit, or like was this download, or what came to you that was just like, this is not for me? Because you were walking away from something that's what you were raised to do.
Steve Jobs changed my life.
Okay, tell me.
I sat in bed and I watched a TED Talk that Steve Jobs gave to the Stanford graduating class, where he said, if you wake up too many mornings and you're looking in the mirror and you're thinking to yourself, what am I doing with my life today? Then you should do something different. And that's how I felt. It's like I'm waking up every day going to college because somebody wants me to, not because I have any interest in what I'm doing here. So I walked to the dean's office the next morning after this TED Talk moment on a Sunday afternoon when I was supposed to be studying for tests, midterms. And I resigned, and there was not a single person in my life that supported this decision. Not my employer, not my boss, not my parents, not my friends. Nobody was like, this is a great move. But it was one of those moments for me where I just knew this was the right thing for me to do. And that created, more than any other decision in my life, confidence in myself.
Oh yeah, because then you trusted your intuition, you trusted your guidance to know, we know what we're supposed to be doing and what we're not supposed to be doing. Even at a young age, you wanted to feel wealthy and know what it meant to embody some wealth, that it meant being in environments, and perhaps you had the ability to purchase the car. So it wasn't like you were putting yourself, way into debt trying to do it, that you can manage that. It was like this.
Well, I actually think I bought the car before I dropped out of college, which was not the smartest move. Like all of a sudden I had this $300 a month payment,
Yeah.
and then I dropped out like the next month.
So that was even scarier. But I thought like my income potential is unlimited. At the time I was making my salary when I dropped out was $55,000.
In school?
When I dropped out, no, like that was the job offer that I got.
Okay,
if I was
okay.
to drop out. No, I was making minimum wage. I was making $8.33.
I was going to say, and so when you dropped out, you got a job at 55. That's still really good.
Yeah.
I mean, so you must have just sold yourself and did what you needed to do.
I was very smart and I was very hardworking. I was there before people were there. I left before people.
You put your time in.
Yeah. And
That's
so
amazing.
You can demonstrate your wealth before you have your wealth by showing up.
Yeah, it's important because you already knew you were wealthy and rich inside of you. And it was just a matter of bringing your environment to reflect what was already the embodiment of inside of you, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I would have thought of myself. I knew that I wanted to be wealthy. Like I always dreamed of having that moment in Devil Wears Prada where the girls at the start of the movie, they're all walking in their high heels from their like perfectly curated outfits with their matching lingerie and their like New York apartments into this high rise, and they had their heels walking across these New York office buildings. And I always dreamed of having that experience. And I just knew that getting out of college and going to work was the only thing that was going to allow me to get there faster. Learning more about whatever bullshit topics they were teaching me
You
about
sound like my child.
was not going to help. Is your child in college right now?
No, she's going to, but she's
Okay.
at high school. She's come home every day. She's like, I'm going to use none of this. None of this is important. Like she's very, very street smart, and so she's like, I got through it. I don't know what college is going to embrace with her. She's going for the experience. I know that much, but she's like, none of this. We're not going to use any of this later on in life. She's like,
true.
I mean, we'll see what happens with her. She's very much her own little woman.
Have her study economics. Economics is the only thing I actually learned, and she could just take like some macroeconomics
She's going to
courses.
business, so yeah.
Macroeconomics, like economics 101. Micro was helpful, but man, I majored in economics, and I'm thankful for those first 3 semesters that I took.
Because you understand how the
econ.
market works.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you understand how that works, all of a sudden those skills are transferable, and she can leave halfway through if she wants.
So 21, jump to where you are now. Like what happened in those between years? I mean, because obviously you've created such an empire. You've gotten married, and you have your own personal brand, your identity of what you're doing right now. Like tell us how that all came together.
Well, I met my now husband at the age of 12.
Huh?
I've known him since I was 12. Obviously, we didn't start dating when I was 12.
Oh, wow.
But this was such an identity crisis for me because the last thing, I was a strong, confident woman who was smart and had an academic scholarship to college. The last thing that I saw myself doing was falling in love with somebody who was twice my age, who was already wealthy. Because to me, I was like, I'm going to create this myself. And so I realized in this process of completely falling in love with him, like not just like, oh, we like each other, like I'm still to this day, it's been over a decade. He's my best friend.
You've been with him over a decade?
Yeah, it's been the greatest part of my life is working with him and creating the life that we've created together. And I knew that at such a young age for...
You're like an old soul that came in here, right?
Yeah, and he's he's just my person. And so that for me was one of the most challenging things for me to get over. And honestly, it took me 4 or 5 years to break out of the shell that I created for myself because I just assumed that everybody would assume that it was because of him that I am successful for anything that I create in my life. Meanwhile, I know I work hard, I'm smart, I figure things out. Like I have all of these skills that everybody is going to diminish because they're just going to see what this outside varnish is. And I used to judge people in my position, so I would understand why. But having to get over that and having to figure out how do I still put in the work despite the fact that I know I will never be taken seriously, to me was the real work that I had to do. And today, we started this business 6 years ago. Today, out of the 350 team members that we have, 349 of them report up to me. Like I operate and run our business, and I'm responsible for hiring and training and onboarding and metrics and creating the structure. Like I do all of that. When people meet me, they are a little bit more able to see my competencies and skills because I've written 2 books and I'm on social media and I talk about this quite often, but it's still like, what does she really do? And I've just started to look at that as that's the chip that I get to like have on my shoulder. And I'm really thankful that I have this chip on my shoulder because there's nothing better than proving people wrong about who you are and what you're capable of. And I've continued to prove people wrong, and it's something that I actually get a lot of joy and motivation and like real fuel from.
Yeah, I mean, you had to learn how to run a business. Because you had to learn all these skills you have right now. 349 people running your business for 6 years. You learned it on the job training, right?
And no one took me seriously in the process. I was always looked at before we got married as my husband's, girlfriend, because we weren't married.
How long have you been married for?
We've been married for going on 4 years.
Okay.
So it took 6 years for us to decide this was the right thing. And a lot of that really was me, because I was like, is this really the life that I'm choosing? Like being successful and creating the life that I want has been important to me since I watched The Devil Wears Prada when I was, in middle school. And so I've been having to navigate, like, how do I become unrelenting with my pursuit of that while also recognizing that I love somebody and he adds to me and he is a contributor to my success, but he is not the only reason that I am successful. And I would have been successful without him, but I'm actually more successful with him. And the percentage of business owners that are actually in business with their significant other made me realize that so many women actually feel this way. And this is such a traditional struggle that we just don't talk about, where, you're supporting your husband through a role in a business and you're looked at as the support when really you're running and managing, and there's different levels of this, of course, but I've turned it into something that I can relate to people with instead of making it seem like it's not real, it doesn't exist, or like I'm just this self-made person. I've been with my now husband for almost a decade, my entire 20s.
Okay, wait, how'd you meet him when you were 12? I want to know this.
My neighbor.
Okay.
He was my neighbor.
He was your neighbor? Mm-hmm. Wow.
He was my neighbor. My mom was his doctor for 25 years, so they were best friends. And yeah.
And your family's good with everything now, right?
Oh, they like him more than they like me now.
Wow.
At first, my dad wanted to murder him.
Of course.
Like literally wanted to murder him. And we told my dad, funny story, we told him, and then decided to roll that back. And I told him I broke up with him for 6 months, and we had hid our relationship for 6 months because my dad was so
ready to
upset.
kill him. Oh, yeah.
I didn't want to, murder my future husband.
Are you guys gonna have kids?
I don't think so. He has 3 girls.
Oh, wow.
Already, and technically 3 grandkids. So I'm technically a grandma.
Oh, wow. Well, you look good, Grandma.
They do not call me grandma.
Grandma looks good.
For obvious reasons. But yeah, we're not planning.
Wait, they call you what?
They don't call me grandma for obvious reasons.
Oh, yeah.
It just would be a little
weird.
Would be a little weird.
Yeah.
But we figured it out. We're a modern blended family.
You're so in love, you can tell.
I just fucking love it.
Yeah, you can tell that's your person.
And I wish that so many times I wish that I didn't. And it made me really relate to people who are in non-traditional relationships, because
Your whole life is non-traditional though, Natalie.
yeah.
I mean, you're not following any mold, you're making your own, it seems. And I think that's actually, I applaud you for that, because it's like everything that people tell us to follow this script or go this way because that's what's been normalized by society or everybody else. Like, this is the way to success. Mm-hmm. You're like, no, I'm going to show you my level. I'm going to show you my way. I'm going to show you this is what I want. And you have this internal guidance that keeps telling you, like, this is the way. And I applaud you for that, because it's not normal. And it's good, normal. But not normal. Being different is great though at this point, and you seem very happy. And I think that when people are listening and watching the show, it's like, we were told, especially my generation, I'm older than you, but where it's like, this is how it's supposed to be. And when I got divorced, it was like, okay, that's a failure. That's not something significant. But had I not left that marriage, I would never be the woman I am today. And my kids are like, Mom, we can't even see you married to dad. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. However, a lot of women stay in relationships where they do things out of obligation or what they're supposed to do, where you were like, no, I'm going to be a trailblazer in all the things in my life, not just, my marriage, everything. I'm going to do it in my business. I'm going to do it in school. I'm going to show you that I'm going to wear black all the time. Like, I'm not going to conform. I mean, isn't that what you're unapologetic about who you are? Is why I love that you're on the show. It's like, this is who I am. You can like it or leave it. And that's just kind of, I'm going to do me. You do you, boo,
I try, and today it's easier than it's ever been.
Oh, of course.
Because it works now.
Yes.
But I think when people listen to this or hear stories like this, it's so easy when you're in those moments of you have to tell your friends the relationship that you're in, or you have to talk to your parents about the type of money that you want to make, or you have to hide that from the person that you're with because they're not supportive. You just assume that people have this like internal strength and they're just like badass bitches who just have this thing that you don't have. And I was not blessed with growing up thinking that like I'm just this trailblazing person. I wouldn't have thought of myself as that, but I just continued to ask myself, like, what do I really want? And the greatest gift for me in being in a relationship where somebody is as much older as he is it makes me remember that this is fleeting. Like, I don't have as much time as a normal person has with their significant other. Therefore, all of these moments matter, and we have fun constantly together. We've not gone to bed mad a single night in our relationship, besides the night that he proposed to me, which is a totally different, separate story. But like, that's our rule. It's like we get over things fast because life is short. And when you think about death, as often as I've thought about death for over a decade now, you're just like, well, what do I want to be proud of at the end of this? And despite not feeling strong or like this is going to be acceptable, or maybe potentially even doubting myself, I know that the alternative to me making this decision is not to making this decision that I want, is not where I ultimately want to end up being. So therefore, I'm going to trailblaze. Although it doesn't feel like trailblazing, it feels like going against the grain and being awkward and having uncomfortable conversations with people and being in an environment that doesn't support or really feel like it's fitting you. And it'd be so much easier just to
You're out of alignment
normal.
with who you were. And when I think alignment is the highest level of authenticity we can ever have. And so you're honoring your internal alignment and being your authentic, unapologetically you, which I think more people need to do, because when they do it, things quantum leap faster. You move faster. The things that you want in your life. I mean, imagine having even whatever time you have with him this time, but it's so dense of all the things, where people will spend 40 years with someone with maybe a sprinkle of things here and there. And, and it's like, did you enjoy every moment? You're saying, yes, I'm enjoying every moment with this person. I mean, that's something for me to look forward to, with my person that comes, or anybody that's listening. Like, you get to have all of those things. So obviously the age is one thing, but what about your thing with him? But I mean, sounds like there's nothing else. He sounds like he's just your match.
He's just the greatest. He's so smart, and I've learned so much from him in business, to where we have different strengths, and now in our business we're able to really maximize our strengths. I am systems and structure and process and setting things up for success, and he is relationships and loves to do new exciting things. And so of course those things can collide in a negative way, because like systems and structure, new ideas can not.
He's like the creative, and you're like the grounding nature in this energy, right?
Yes, but he is so good at what he does, and I'm so good at what I do.
Match.
That I can be like, these 8 ideas, terrible. This one, fantastic. Let's put all these resources together, and this is how we'll communicate with the team.
Wow.
And we're able to actually create things so quickly, because he can create opportunities and connect relationships where most people don't see that they exist. And I can bring them to life and actually have other people understand what the strategy could look like and how we execute on it. And so from that standpoint, like, I just feel like I've met my match in life, and he's taught me so many things that make me really proud to be with
You needed
him.
an older man. What guy your age is going to be doing that right
Totally,
now?
totally. I'd be bored out of my mind. I'd be bored out of my mind.
I mean, he wouldn't stimulate you enough.
No.
So what's the next vision for Natalie?
I'm so excited because we are finally moving from our management consulting and our events, which we will still have as offerings, and we're still going to spend a lot of time in our core business, but we're launching a private equity fund. And with the private equity fund, I am just like in full transition mode right now, where I have to figure out how the existing business can run and operate without as much of my time and attention, because I need to build this new version of what we're doing. And luckily it complements what we do currently very nicely, because a private equity group would essentially be us investing in businesses that we see as opportunities, and our core consulting business shows us thousands of businesses a year to see what are the high growth potential businesses, what businesses are not going to do well in a downward economy or with tariffs, and what are the emerging businesses that no one is looking at, or the emerging industries that no one's looking at that are ripe for consolidation. So our ability to really pair what we see to how we can invest in those opportunities. And then on top of that, I've become obsessive about women's wealth and what's going on with women's wealth. We talk about this wealth transfer that's happening, and I've heard about this wealth transfer, that trillions of dollars are going to be passed from baby boomers onto millennials, and people know about this.
Well, the boomers got all the cash right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then thinking about the women's component of this, right now, women in the United States hold somewhere between 10 to 12 trillion dollars. By 2030, which is in 5 years from now, it's estimated they're going to hold 30 trillion of wealth.
Let's go.
So it's almost going to be a 20 million. It's what is going to transition is twice as much as what they currently have right now. And a function of this is people's spouses passing away. So imagine, I'm sure this is not far off for your imagination or anyone who's listening, you have been with your spouse and they have been the ones making the financial decisions. You have a financial advisor who's not even addressing you or your concerns or keeping you included or in the loop about anything. So women tend to, when their spouse dies, terminate their relationship with the financial advisor because they haven't freaking acknowledged them or taken them seriously for the duration of the whole entire relationship. And women need to be educated in what this actually looks like for them to know how to manage their money and know where their assets can grow and how do they align their investments with what they actually believe in and women-based businesses. So I'm just like in full-blown obsession mode of like research and understanding the right positioning to really help be a part of the solution for what do women do with this additional capital that could springboard them not just to be wealthier, but to also do it in a way where there is community connected to it and it's
Absolutely.
not isolating and they don't feel like they're outside of this world, that they haven't really been participated to be invited into.
So that's amazing. So where did the idea come from?
I saw a post on Instagram that was talking about this women's wealth transfer. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the opportunity of a lifetime. And it all came from Instagram,
I love that.
sharing this data.
And it just gave you a little spark of an idea of what to do.
Yeah, because
Okay.
women don't feel included in this.
Really, they don't. And I think that so many women have money and they don't know where to put their money and what to do. And they don't want to actually think about it too much and have to overthink. And they're just like, how I personally want to take my money and like, which I've been doing, and putting like, 50,000 here, 200,000 here, putting it in different businesses. But imagine if someone can go find all those businesses and I just give you a lump of sum of money, then you can go do it for me. And wouldn't that be amazing?
Wouldn't that be amazing? And then also invite you to be a part of the conversation and to be part of events like
learn
and really,
because I feel like I don't know
a
enough.
group.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
a community.
Yeah,
like what
community.
does, I know it's like really like in to talk about like community and authenticity and connection, but I'm part of this group called Vogue 100. And so this is a group where Anna Wintour has selected 100 people in business and fashion and art to come together. And there are these events that we get invited to throughout the year. And so through these events, I go to these fashion shows, I go to a Met Gala opening, and I'm invited to these like really fancy, beautiful things. And I hope nobody from Vogue is listening to this because I do love my Vogue 100 membership. However, what it has taught me is those things that are traditionally for women, if there isn't more substance to it, if there's not more freaking substance to a fashion show, like what is the point? You get invited to it one time, you go to Paris, you experience it, you're watching clothes walk down a runway. And then in 3 months from now, more clothes, different color, different shape. I appreciate it. I get that it's art. Like I don't mean to bash it as if it's like below me or less than. It's amazing and it's beautiful and it's something that I've always aspired to be a part of. But what if we were actually making money and included in this instead of just showing up, taking Instagram photos, enjoying the collections, spending a shit ton on it, on the actual
Monetizing this
products.
event.
Yeah, but like,
in a good
okay,
way.
what are we talking about with trends and what's happening with ethical fashion and
Oh.
beauty opportunities, like with what just happened with Hailey Bieber.
I mean, that's insane.
And the announcement of
Good for her.
transaction.
Good for her.
How do more people get a part of that?
Yeah.
And are women even talking about investing in e.l.f. because of this? e.l.f. is a publicly traded company. Like, so anyway, I'm just like,
No,
again,
I think this
I'm
conversation is
passionate
huge.
about this.
And this is where you're going to bring your emerging fashion and beauty,
Mm-hmm.
but also you're bringing in your financial, literacy and whatnot to help women show that you get to be pretty
Mm-hmm.
and you get to look good and you get to have it all. Like, I want you to, because yes, it comes from a man, but you can also create it yourself. And I think that's been part of your messaging is I want to have my own lane of what I'm creating. And this is what you're going to show other women that they can too, which I think is fantastic.
And the conversation doesn't have to be separated. And
No,
it's
it
so
doesn't.
often separated. It's fashion and beauty, or, oh, you're going shopping. It's not, oh, you're doing this and you're actually creating an economy. You're actually able to make money off of this, not just spend money in these groups.
Right.
And so just flipping that narrative is like, it's my next challenge.
Right. Well, obviously it came from your heart. So it's something good. Let's talk about buying things.
Yes.
Okay. So before you came on, I went and looked at your Instagram and her and her husband have matching Rolls Royce, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it.
Because this is, to me, is unapologetically rich, like being able to, have the things that you want. I mean, I don't know how old you are now. Can I ask?
32, yeah.
Okay, so she's so young. She's 32, which is, I mean, she's like, I'm an old lady, but she's 32.
I'm very old.
She's 32 and she's already acquired, I mean, okay, so we're talking about 10, 11 years that you've done this. That's freaking ridiculous that you've created this much wealth, this much impact. Your brand, you've grown so fast and now you have your own Rolls Royce. Tell us about how you look at fashion. I mean, I love that what you're decked out in right now and you love fashion and how I think everybody gets to enjoy this to me. If it exists and I want it, I get to have it.
Yep.
That's just that's what I believe in. So talk to me about how you look at that wealth and how you look at the things and the experiences. And you just came back from Monaco, right?
I did.
You were at Formula One. And
sure was.
I mean, that's one of the wealthiest, all those super yachts having parties, that's really nice.
It's wild. I've always looked at these things and not judged the fact that I wanted them. And
Good.
many people judge themselves for wanting nice things, for wanting a nice car, for wanting a nice house. I've never had that internal voice that's like, oh, it's bad to do that. And I'm thankful for that. I don't know if that was, my parents or what my environment looked like growing up, but I've always looked at it despite not having it and thought, who do I have to become in order to have that? Because it's not actually about the thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about the Rolls Royce. It's not about the yacht. It's not about the plane. It's actually about what is required so that you feel so good about yourself, that you did the work, that you're not thinking, I got lucky, or this could go away because somebody could take it from me or somebody could break up with me. Like, you really have the internal confidence to become what you want so that you can have what you want. And that has just been the resounding thing in my head. And one of the conversations I have about being in the relationship that I'm in is he was independently wealthy before we got married. He sold his business while we were dating, but his net worth is 10X'd since we got together. So I know that I have.
Can you share?
What his net worth is?
Or what was it before and what is it now, like since you came in?
Before we got together, well, I'd have to consult him on what
Okay.
we would say. He sold his last business while we were dating for $155 million.
Okay, that's nice.
So 77 times EBITDA, but that wasn't the financial situation he was in when we started dating. So it was less than that when we started dating. So there was like this hump of, wow, there's all this money all of a sudden. And then there was a lot of fear. And one thing people don't tell you, which has been a gift in my life, is I watched somebody close to me do something most people never get to watch anybody do, which is hit the exact financial target that they had dreamed of. Imagine, your brother or your parent or your close friend like actually scores and hits the target that they have. And then you watch them the next day and the next week and the next month and the next year, and you realize how quickly it wears off because it's just money. And if you're not
Just money.
if you're not purpose driven after that transaction takes place, if you don't have something to contribute to, you actually feel bad about yourself and you start to feel self-conscious. And I watched that with him where, 2 months after having this huge financial transaction take place, he has more money than he's ever dreamed of having. All of a sudden he feels lost.
His purpose is not there anymore.
Purpose is gone. Now, watching that, I'm like, okay, it can't just be about the money then. It has to be about who you are becoming, always becoming. And my dad always told me growing up, the process of becoming is always superior to being. And I think I found out, I thought it was my dad's quote. Apparently it's Abraham Lincoln's quote. So, pretty prolific person on that front. But, just figuring out how that business sold in 2016. We started this business in 2019. I was the one that sought out Grant and Elena Cardone because he wanted to go down the private equity route, very traditional business person. And I was like, no, look at what's happening on social media. We could do this and we could partner with somebody who's on social, who already has a platform that we can work with the businesses that they're already involved with, but they aren't exactly servicing the way that we would. And so there was a list of all of these social media influencers, and I was like, these are our people. And I read every single book from both of the Cardones. I watched practically every YouTube video. There were thousands of them. Like, I did my research.
Wow, you really went in hard.
I stopped hanging out with my friends. Like, Elena Cardone became my best friend.
She's awesome.
Before she even knew my name. It was a little freaky.
We were friends before you knew, girl.
It was like, one of my favorite stories around this is the first time we went to their house. I had watched so many live videos from the two of them on YouTube that when I showed up to their house, we had sushi. And I go to stand up to go to the bathroom, and she starts to tell me where the bathroom is. And I was like, I already know. And she's like, how do you know? And she doesn't remember this moment, thank the Lord, but I must have turned the color of a tomato. Like, I was mortified, and I was like, oh, I walked by it earlier. I didn't walk by it earlier. It's because I watched so many freaking videos that I knew the layout of the house.
You manifested this thing.
I did. I completely created all of this.
Wow.
So I don't even know how we got to talking about this, but I am a huge believer in how you show up and how you create the things that you
whatever
want.
you want, you get. I already know that about you.
Yes, that's
like,
one of my.
It's like you want it, you're just waiting for it. It's like you expect it, it's on its way to me. Like, and you create your reality at all times. You're just like, this is. And I'm sure your husband is the same way because you guys found each other, And so you went down this rabbit hole. You decided, we're talking about the business where he exited. So now you're in this. You said 10x this business now.
Yes. Oh yeah, the net worth. So maybe a $10 million net worth, and now at least 500 million, if not greater.
Let's go.
Our companies
make
amazing. A lot of money, and we generate a lot of money.
And congratulations, because you're the half of that that's doing it as well. And like you brought yourself in there. It's not easy to learn all this. I mean, what do you do to benefit Natalie? I mean, obviously you're someone, when you want to learn something, you dive deep into it, and you do not quit when you want to find information.
I am this delusional. I think that ChatGPT was created for me. Like, AI was created for this point.
How are you using AI?
Life.
Okay, tell me. Tell us. Educate us. Educate us.
I use it to educate myself.
Okay.
Because unlike traditional school, where you're just reading whatever set syllabus. Yeah, it's just content. Yeah. It's not tailored to what I do or don't know. It's not tailored to ensuring that you actually understand with full understanding something, that you can actually fully know whatever topic you want to learn about.
So true.
So ChatGPT, for me, one of the things that recently has just like changed the game is inside ChatGPT on the right for settings, you can say like customize profile. And in the customized profile section, you can tell it how you want it to communicate with you. So I'm a girl, like I'm girl through and through. I love all the girly things. So when it's explaining things to me about the differences in hedge funds and profits interest versus units, I actually have every single thing that it spits out at me be related in a girly analogy.
No.
So it comes out as like, imagine being at a mall when it's explaining the difference between like private equity and venture capital and all of these things, because it makes it real, because I actually want to learn these things and believe that I can learn these things. Okay. So that's like the specifics.
How long did it take you to get like ChatGPT to understand?
Not long. Like a week.
You talk to it every day?
Every single day.
That's your BFF, right?
It is actually my best friend. It actually is. It has replaced my husband as my best friend. But what I love right now is I'm using it as like a syllabus for my own learning understanding. And I ask it to quiz me on things that I'm learning. So it'll teach me something.
So if you embodied it or understand it, like kind of thing?
Yeah, and it'll give me 15 questions and I have to respond back. And if I don't, I want to freaking know this stuff. So
it's like your mentor in so many ways.
In any area of life, anything you want to learn, you can actually know if you do or don't know it. But unlike a traditional school where you're trying to hide or conceal, like I think it's answer B. Like, if I'm not certain that it is B, why do I not know this? What's unclear about this? I'm not sure. And it will give me information and then relate it to me as a freaking girl so I understand it. And then I'm like, okay, Johnny on the spot. I understand these things. Like, rapid information consumption, because it's made it easy for me to pinpoint exactly what I don't know instead of feeling stupid.
Yeah.
Like I can't learn something.
Some of the stuff you just said, I'm like, I need to go find out more information.
It's amazing. It really is amazing. And you become curious and want to learn. And so
So every day
for
you're
me,
talking to it.
you should see my ChatGPT. Like,
But didn't people say they're putting locks on theirs now? Like, we're not having that open so anybody can go get that.
yeah, the amount of dumb questions I ask it is pretty ridiculous, but I don't even care. I'm like, this is a dumb question. Don't care.
cares?
I'd rather learn it and actually know.
Give me an example of the one that recently that you did, and like you were like, yes, girl, like that was good. Like, where they translate into like an example for you, like we're at the mall or something.
Let's see. Just this morning, what was I translating? Oh, we're starting a roofing entity. So
A what?
Roofing. So a lot of our clients that come in are roofers, and we've been
That's a
working.
big business.
It's a huge business.
Huge
This
business.
is going to be a really exciting business that we're going to be investing in, but also helping on our Cardo Ventures consulting side. And so I put in this legal contract for this roofing entity that we're setting up. And I'm like, explain, there's 2 different stock options and there's like 3 different entities. And I'm like, break this down to me in a format that I can understand. And while this is happening, like the CFO comes walking in and he and I have this whole conversation about what happens when we convert from an LLC to a C Corp. So I have it explained to me, the difference between an LLC and a C Corp and how that impacts our team's tax implication. And really the thing I was trying to understand was their tax basis at different points when they enter. Anyway, all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I understand this. This makes complete sense. Whereas before I would have glossed over this document. I would have felt like a complete idiot, not knowing like what the difference is. And then you have to Google, okay, what is this versus this, but it's not specific to your business. In this case, I probably spent 45 minutes this morning just looking at one tiny part of this agreement to really understand it, which then allowed me to understand and fully be like up to speed for this meeting an hour and a half later. So I've actually blocked out my mornings just to spend time on ChatGPT to learn things I don't know anything
Okay,
about.
let's talk about your morning routine. What do you do? That's amazing. Do you have one?
I'm not like a religious morning routine
It's okay.
person, but
Do you wake up do you have to wake up at a certain time?
I
or-
wake up at 5:30.
Oh, you do that?
Yeah,
Oh,
and
okay.
I work out. I lift weights
Okay.
3 to 4 times a week.
At home?
Well, if I'm at home, we go between Miami and Scottsdale. So at our Scottsdale house, we have a gym in our garage. What's really great about the gym in our garage is it's also where our red light bed is. So I can work
Love red
out
light therapy. Oh my God.
while doing red light, while listening to like a podcast. Sometimes I listen to music, but I'm a big believer in habit stacking and just crunching as much stuff into a short period of time. But it's normally working out and then some version of coffee and or some caffeinated.
Do you journal or anything like that?
I don't journal.
Do you set intentions, like, or do you put the vision work? You seem like so tuned.
I'm
To,
obsessed with my calendar.
Okay.
So that would probably be my version of like intentions, where you could look at my calendar. I have like meal times, shower times, workout
Oh, you
times.
have everything on there.
And every single night before I show up the next day, like I move things, I change things based off of what I know I need to do. If I need to be on ChatGPT for an hour and really understand this contract, I'm moving things in order to
Got
make
it.
that happen. So I'm really intentional the night before about what my day is going to look like that next week. And I would say I don't do this every single day, but every week I go through my goals and I actually make time for whatever it was that I said my goals were. So with a New Year's resolution, I think most people don't actually give up because it's hard. They give up because they just forget that something was important to them. And then they wake up in April or June or September and they're like, oh yeah, I said I wanted to do that and I could have made time, but I just kind of forgot. And I don't want to forget what my goals are. And I think I've been pretty successful over the years at not forgetting
Yeah.
and just constantly making that space on my calendar. I have this recurring meeting with myself every Monday morning where
You
it says
do?
what's, it's specifically titled, what am I doing this week to grow? And that's when I do this.
what? So you're like, does it include like your meetings or the things that you're doing, or oh really? So
All things.
You have 1 hour with yourself and ChatGPT, right?
Well, yes.
Yes, of course.
That goes
She's
everywhere
like,
with
silly.
me.
That's duh
it's like,
question.
It's like
Yeah.
helping me with this conversation in my ear.
That's amazing.
I'm just kidding. It's not, but it will at some point.
What is a non-negotiable for you?
Daily team
Yeah.
meeting.
What's that?
A daily team meeting is non-negotiable.
Oh, really? You meet with your team every day?
Every single day.
What? How does that look?
Well, there's actually 2 meetings. One is with the entire company, and we go over what happened the day before. So every single day at 8:45 in the morning, our entire company gets on a call, and we go through.
All 350 of you.
Yep, leads,
Is that
conversions.
they have to be on there?
Yeah. Cash collected, our operations and fulfillment, and it's
Every day.
every single day. Because how do you move a business? You look at
So
stats
you look to
every
see
single
what's,
day.
so you have to see what's working, what's not, and so you course correct every day.
Yeah, and every day on that all team, you know, there's just, it's wins and it's sharing why we do what we do, our client success
So you do this on
stories.
Zoom, I'm assuming, every day, right?
We moved it from Zoom to in person.
Oh, wow.
And we moved it again back to Zoom because we just expanded offices. So we have half of our office in one area in Scottsdale, the other half in the other area. So it's a little awkward. But when everybody's back in one space, we will be doing it in person again.
And that's just, you feel like that just the morale of the business just goes up.
It is the heartbeat of the business.
Wow.
We would not have done what we've done in 6 years without having that meeting every single day.
Are your team leaders, I'm assuming, are they in charge of P&L? Like, do they have how they're gonna, that's amazing. And so, because when people are incentivized, they're gonna work a little bit harder when there's.
That's another non-negotiable. Every single person on the team, not just salespeople, have incentive metrics, and they have incentive metrics by their 30-day mark with us. Because if we don't know what we do that day in order to make more money, we just start making up random shit to do in the business. Everybody does it. A business owner is naturally incentivized because you get paid off of the profit in your business, and you get to build this big business and talk about how big the business is. So you're naturally incentivized to do the right things to grow and expand the business. But if your team members have no idea what they need to do that day or that week or specifically that month in order to get paid more, of course, bloat is going to happen because you didn't say this is exactly what the most important thing for you to do in this business is. And so every single person, regardless of role, title, amount of time they've been with us, they have an incentive compensation plan, and I review them monthly. And if they're not working, I change them.
That's amazing. That's beautiful. All right, let's talk about the juicy stuff.
Let's talk about the juicy stuff.
What's your definition of rich? Your honest, unapologetic definition of rich. It could be anything, but I'm just saying. And I asked what wealthy is too, and if there's a difference. Rich used to be kind of like a trigger word for me in the beginning, and now I'm like, it's just whatever I want it to mean, and I've normalized it now, because whatever you assign meaning to becomes law in your life, I say. So I ask everybody this question.
My definition of rich is being able to do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it. You are rich when you're able to have the relationships that you want to have. That's the most important thing for you. You're rich if you're able to go on a yacht trip or take a vacation. You're not rich if you want to do something and you don't actually do it, and you're not making strides to make it happen. Because I think somebody can be rich and be making $60,000 a year, but if they are up early, staying late at night to become that version of themselves that can get to $1 million a year earner, they're rich. They're just not monetarily rich yet. But the person who also isn't rich to me would be somebody who says that they want something and doesn't do anything about it, or denies that they even want it to begin with. Like, oh, I'm going to judge that. I don't need that.
But what's your version of rich?
Like, number-wise?
Yeah, I mean, no, that doesn't mean number. It could be anything. Like, when you do you feel rich right now? Can you own rich?
After leaving Monaco and looking at these frickin' 200-foot yachts,
Those super yachts are
I
big.
actually feel poor. Think about this. The people that we were with, she also won't watch this, so I'm glad she won't watch this. This will not be the clip that we cut. So for one night in the room that they rented in Hotel de Paris, it's right across from the casino, and they rented this for an entire week, so 7 days. But for one night, it was $120,000. So compared to that, I feel broke. Like, I wouldn't spend 120. Like, I thought it was 50,000. This room was insane. It's the most spectacular room of like a house you've ever seen.
$125,000 a night.
120,000. Don't get crazy. Don't get crazy now. $120,000.
7 nights. Oh, they got like FU money up in there.
FU money.
Oh, wow.
And so watching that, I was so inspired by her, because this woman.
Because if she can, I can. I always look at that.
Exactly. And just the way that she owned it and wasn't apologetic about it. And it was for her husband's birthday, but like, she's the breadwinner between the two of them.
Wow.
She has a business that spits off $20 million a year with 6 employees of EBITDA a year, with like 6 or 8 employees, something ridiculous. And so just watching her and being in that energy, I'm like, that's rich.
Yeah.
I don't feel rich in that environment, but every
right now,
day-
do you?
Yeah, when I get in my car driving home.
What you got? What you driving?
Yeah. Oh, here I'm driving a Lamborghini Urus.
You brought the Lamborghini. Oh, nice, beautiful. And then you have your Rolls. And what else would you want?
What else would I want?
Yeah. What else don't have right now that you would want?
What? I really want a yacht.
A yacht?
That's the goal.
Oh, yachts are beautiful.
Yacht, but like yacht is like 10 years from now. Like yacht is like, it breaks my mind a little bit to think about what would be required to get there. And I talk to my husband about this practically every single day. I'm like, what do we have to do?
Reverse engineer it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we talk about it constantly. And it's not because I need a yacht. Like I'm actually so good with like ramen noodles and I'm not like a super.
You're a girl that could do anything if you needed
do
to.
Anything,
Yeah.
but it's this pursuit of like, what do you have to do in life? Who do you have to become to be able to have that? Like, what did you have to figure out?
Yes, who do you have to become?
I'm obsessed with this.
Me too.
And that's why I'm so excited for Hailey Bieber watching this transaction, because I'm sure, without knowing her, making a lot of judgments, that she's felt like she had to be dependent in some way upon her husband. Or she was a model. You know, as she gets older and is a mom, like you start to ask yourself these questions about your value and your
who
worth.
am I?
And in 3 freaking years, she created $1 billion company with 10 products. Like, it's unbelievable. And so just watching people who do this and just like, they figure it out. And then she's going to go figure something else out. It's about the figuring it out and being like, I wanted this, I figured it out. I'm going to pat myself on the back. And now I'm going to go give a lot to charity. I want to give $100 million to charity in the next 10 years. Like, I just want to do big things and be around people who don't judge me for that, but also let me work really hard and let me be okay to be unsatisfied. And that's actually harder than I would have imagined it to be, is letting people be around you who are like, they're okay with you not being satisfied with yourself.
People around me, let me be okay being unsatisfied. But you are satisfied with a lot of things though.
I'm satisfied and I'm also disappointed.
So
in
you
myself.
celebrate, you're happy, and you want more.
It's the balance.
I mean, that's with every successful, woman that wants the more. There's always more. So why stop? Because the more is what drives us, right?
Yes.
It's like when you stop, you're like, it's like you said, when your husband sold the company for $150-something million, his purpose was gone. It wasn't about the money, because I believe it's just money, and it's just a tool, and it's what we want. But it's what we want to feel when we reach that level of success is really what we're after, right?
So true.
So there's a feeling inside of us that when I have this, I'm going to feel this certain way. And you have, I mean, you're only 32, like you're just getting started of what you're going to create in this lifetime and what you want to do. And you've got these big dreams. And it's amazing watching you operate. And you are very confident. You have conviction about everything you do. How does someone get to your level like that?
I think you just can't lie to yourself about what you want. And when you're really honest with yourself about what you want, and you match, okay, I'm writing these goals down, and I'm really saying, like, in this lifetime, I believe this is possible for myself. And then you look at where you're spending your time. When there is not alignment with those two things, you feel like you're not confident and you lack.
That's imposter syndrome coming up, right?
Commitment.
Yeah.
Because if I say I want to have $100 million net worth, and yet I'm spending 3 hours a day watching reality television or doom scrolling on TikTok. Like, I say that I want it, but I'm not doing what's required to actually get there. What don't I know? Man, it's hard to actually ask yourself the question, what you don't know, because most of the time all of us try to protect and pretend like we know all of this stuff that we don't actually know. And so when you're really honest with yourself about, I want this is where I'm spending my time, I'm going to eliminate the things that I'm spending my time that aren't actually getting me towards these goals. And with that new time that I've just found, that 3 hours a day that I now have, I'm going to use it for very specific use cases to drive to the skills that I need in order to get there. And that could be negotiating, it could be communicating, it could be public speaking, it could be creating a podcast or being consistent on like, there's no shortage of skills that make money these days, but you get confidence by being okay and accepting where you want to go and actually tying your actions and where you spend your time, energy, attention, your mental, like everything.
What do you do? I mean, you just research a lot, but you must do things to improve your skill set every day, right?
Every day.
What do you, mentors, like, what are you doing?
One of the things that I do every single day is read.
Yeah.
I read books like a mad person because I know I don't know a bunch of stuff. And I think one thing that has helped me be successful is never feeling like I have to be the smartest person in the room or flexing that I know something. I know you had Elena Cardone on your show, and she's such a huge mentor to me. And she would tell you, I will ask incessant questions and never talk about myself. In fact, that's probably, I don't do a lot of podcasts because I feel like the whole time I'm just
honored you're
talking about
here.
myself. Yeah, I really don't do it because like I'm more interested and curious about other people. I'm a sponge for like what's working for you.
I'm
What's
learning
not
from you
working,
right now,
What
though.
are you seeing? Like, and I want to know those things. So I actually would be a really great podcast host because I just love asking people and really learning. But reading books is something that has been a part of my journey since I started.
Girlfriends? How do you, what's your metric on the women you let in your life? Because I do believe who we spend time with is very, very important on, it can bring us up or bring us down. And I don't hang around people who have a broke mindset. That's like one thing, or a scarcity mindset. It's very, because I feel like that's like a disease that can share, or people who don't share the same level of my drive, let's say. What about you? Like what's,
Same.
yeah.
I don't spend a lot of discretionary time with people just for the fun of it because I don't actually have the time. When you go back to, again, like what is my goal? What am I doing to drive myself towards that? Why do I need to hang out with somebody to make me feel better, to get caught up on my life because something has happened? Like, I don't actually need that. So what is the purpose of a friend? I took my purpose of a friend straight from Elena Cardone. The purpose of a friend is somebody who's supporting you, somebody who's helping you get closer to your goals and dreams. And when I really honestly assessed the people I was spending time with and who I was friends with against that goal, they weren't buying from me. They weren't asking questions about my business. They weren't sending me customers. They were just like fun to be around. Well, my version of fun to be around, I could also have a fun to be around moment watching Netflix, but I wouldn't say that that's contributing to my goals. So is spending time with my friends actually contributing to my goals? It's actually really not. So it's just this like fun
You're selective with people who.
So selective. And honestly, if I'm not making money with you, I don't know that we have a lot to talk about. In most scenarios, I'm like, what? It's great 30 minutes. Like, what do we get to talk about if we're not making money together and doing something and building
Impact.
Yeah, I need that at this point in order for me to be in alignment with what my purpose is.
Well, the season you're in right now. This is, or it could be forever. But
Yeah,
this is
it's been a long season. It's been like it's been a 6 or 7 year season at this point of just ruthlessly cutting people out of my life who don't find what I find interesting. I just recently, I don't know where my phone is. My phone left me somewhere, but I just changed my screensaver. And it's really indicative of this concept because it's this glass building. It's like a picture of a street, and there's a glass building and next to all of these like more traditional brownstones. And in the glass building, there's this like pink smoke coming through it. And it's like this vibrant pink smoke. And right next to all this building is all these other like very traditional brownstone type buildings. And what it reminds me of is like I'm building my version of my life. And it's electric and it's something I'm obsessed with, and I won't let somebody who would traditionally be interested in this come into my environment because I can only have people in my environment that support what this is. If somebody was like, oh, I hate the color pink and you should change that glass and like board it up because it's like embarrassing that your walls are see-through, like fuck off.
Right.
This is my like go down the street. This is who I am. This is what I want my life to look like. And the Cardones are people who inspire me every single day, but there's a shrinking group of people in my life that really do support me and are
celebrate
okay
you.
with
Right.
what I want and my pink glass
I love
Barbie
it.
dream house.
I love that. That's amazing. I mean, a lot of people, when they don't feel like the success is available for them, they want you to slow down. Or they're not willing to celebrate you. So I have a very strict thing about having people around me who are in abundance, that want to celebrate you, want to see you win, and also add value to you. And how can we bring each other up? And so I have you can be my network here, but then to get here, it's a whole different kind of game. And I don't only let certain people into this space because they can affect me with how they think or their values or their habits. And so I protect this like a shield. And I worked really hard to become this woman, as you did too. So it's like, you got to just decide, and you got your partner, your person. And so you guys are like a dream team together, aren't you?
We really are. He allows me to kick people out of our lives that don't support us. And I am vicious when it comes to people around him who even slightly question who he is, what he wants to be, where we're going, because you just can't have that. And something that to me is so special and that I've fought so hard to be able to create, to just have somebody come in just because they think that they can and just shit all over what we're doing and where we're going. And I remind myself that we're actually helping people. And if we aren't helping people because somebody, like I didn't have enough of a barrier up to allow somebody to come through that made me question myself or made my husband question himself, like I'm actually doing a disservice to all of the potential people that I can't help, all because I let this person come into my life and wasn't a strong enough to say, get out of my house. You're not welcome here.
Yeah.
And many people don't have strong enough confront to be able to do that. But
my game is high.
yeah, I cherish what we've built. I cherish our relationship. I cherish who he is. So you have to be like totally on board or like go somewhere else to be around.
You're very much a convicted woman who knows what she wants. And I can't wait to see, I'm so glad that we've met in person. I can't wait to see what you go out there and this fun that you're creating and how you're going to change the game in the world. And, you know, you've done incredible things. One last thing you'd want to share to a woman out there who's listening about this big leap or finding their partner, anything that you want is your last little thing that you say a lot, or just to inspire people of what's next.
I would say that the best work you can ever do is working on yourself and getting clear on exactly who you want to be.
That's so funny.
As the train rolls on through.
The train is in agreement.
The train is like, woo-hoo.
Yeah, it really, I mean.
It's like clicking for
If that's
us.
not like synchronicity of the universe saying, let's go toot your own horn, baby, toot your own horn.
I didn't even need to toot it. It just tooted for me.
There you go. But anything you're promoting or that you want, how do people find you?
I am most active on YouTube right now. I love YouTube.
I've been getting on YouTube
a lot of time on YouTube and would love to connect. I comment myself, and that's a fun community that I'm spending a lot of time building and nurturing right now.
Okay, great.
At the Natalie Dawson.
Yeah, how can people find you? Say it again.
At the Natalie Dawson.
The Natalie Dawson. Don't forget the.
The.
Thank you for coming today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
You're
Appreciate
amazing.
you.
You're amazing.